All right, so Kenneth, we're hearing your audio tonight. Good night, everybody. Welcome to the intros. Late start, but we're here.
You hear my jaws? Oh,
I was saying it just now.
okay. All right.
I don't know what happened there. So Ken, right. Topic tonight: save the soil. I think we're going with that tonight. Last week we dealt with artificial intelligence and dealing with the machine learning concept. Interesting conversation, interesting topic. This week we're dealing with the economy, the ecology, the rains, the floods, the water, the cow manure. What is your views? Anything you want to get into before we go into that? Before we jump?
I want to start. I mean, we have all the technology and all the fancy thing, but my accountant always tell me whenever you have an issue and thing, go back to basic. Debit, credit. And the same thing when he's talking about the soil. No matter what you do, the soil is the genesis of every single thing. And we must protect the soil because like food is sustenance. And sometimes people take food for granted because you have it in abundance. But let it go scarce. Like, you know, years ago, we did this record called We Are the World, just to deal with famine in Africa. It had times, it had famine in India in the early 40s, and the amount of people committed suicide and so on. So, because of technology, we're not having that issue, but we're coming up with a new crisis. And I've been following Sadhguru and, you know, Marshall Montano and so on. They latch onto this thing, the soil movement. And I mean, over 2 billion people, I don't know how many countries signed on to protect the soil. And we must, I mean, in Trinidad, we don't have a land management system. We take good, as they call it, arable land, I think that's the word they use. And we pour concrete on it. You know,
and you know, Jagi Vasudev.
A name ring a bell.
That is Sadhguru.
Okay.
I did some research today on him.
Right. Okay.
I know we talk about save soil, and you know, all tributes and all kudos go to him because he's the one who's pushing this entire consciousness, planet or environmental consciousness about the soil. You know, the point that was being made by him that they talk about air pollution and ocean pollution and everything else. And it's good to talk those things, but nobody talking about the soil. They said a United Nations report indicated that it have about, I think it's about 85 more arable crop cycles on planet Earth, which is equivalent to about 45 years again for the soil to be of good nutritional value. And they talk about the soil, which is the topsoil, being washed away and being eroded. The nutrients levels are decreasing tremendously. And it's because after thousands of years of planting it and no real reintroduction of nutrients into the system. Recently, Sadhguru, which is Jagi Vasudev, did a campaign and he got 72 countries to sign up to start talking about soil, talking about regenerating the soil, regenerating the earth through natural biosystems.
Yeah.
And he was making a point, tilling the soil and putting fertilizer will not rejuvenate the soil as it should be. So that they say an aggressive form of rejuvenating the soil, within 15 years, you could replenish the soil that we have lost so far. But if you go at a very slow pace, within 40, 45 years, you're looking at almost 2 generations of people will suffer what you just talk about, food shortages and so on, because they didn't concentrate on rebuilding the asset or the natural resource called the soil. And you talk about just now land policy and a land system. One thing they was talking about, and I read on Wikipedia, I think it was, they say they suggesting every 1 hectare of land, you get 5, I don't know, it's bovines, animals,
Right.
minimal on every hectare of land, because the natural trees, the shrubs, the leaves, and the animal manure is what you really need to rejuvenate the soil. And that's why a long time, a lot of people used to mine animals on their land.
No, well, it comes back down to ecosystem. Remember, you're talking about
Yes.
ecosystem, or the Apple ecosystem, and this, the Google ecosystem. It comes down to, remember, everything is a system, and everything is a cycle.
And that's what we
I tell
need.
people,
We need a balance.
you could buy a car and change a car anymore, but we only have one Earth. As far as I know, it's the only planet that that humans could inhabit.
And the
Until
thing
we
is,
find another one.
they say, you know, there are 5 things he suggested we do, apart from planet consciousness. You talk about rejuvenating soil with animals. He say if you cut down your meat consumption by 50%, you need to don't eat meat, you know. Cut it down, because 77% of the land is used to rear animals. You cut down that, you would place over 20 or 200 million acres of land. Make it available now for trees. Because you need trees too. You need to create a shaded space for the soil. Because remember, the rain we get in is like acid rain. It's washing away all the topsoil, all the nutrients.
Yeah.
And everything, as you rightly say, is a system, because you have proper trees, you have proper oxygen, you have proper water
So, but
supply.
you need oxygen for humans to function. If you don't have oxygen, you're in trouble. And you need the trees. The trees is the only thing that produce that.
One interesting things that so was he said, you know, if they had a whole infestation of locusts eating up all the trees, they would have find a solution to the problem. The problem is we have a set of human beings eating up the soil, and we seem to want to have a solution to the problem.
No, nothing, zero. And that's why you see flooding, because nature have a way to respond, you know. And if we don't fix it, nature have a way of fixing its own problem, you know. And nature, when it comes to fixing its own problem, it's violent, you know. You're talking hurricane, you're talking earthquake, you're talking flooding. Those are you could say the 3 major ways nature responds to protect itself when.
But if you look at in Trinidad, Ken, right, in Trinidad, you look at the east-west corridor, when they have floods, and you see the amount of silt and dirt that comes down from the hills, it tells you a lot about. Long time when I was a little fella, I remember I used to tell you about don't slash and burn. I think it was the term they used to use. The hills.
Yeah.
Because when you slash and burn, you're destroying the vegetation on the hills, and when the rain comes, it wash away the stops. So that little fella in the 80s, I hearing that. And
because remember, let me say to the top of the hill, if waterfall, a gallon of waterfall, by the time it reaches, it might not reach down to the bottom, because throughout the journey, it absorbs soil, plant, everybody getting a little bit coming down the road, and say you're creating a filtration system. And again, it comes back down the system. And if you interfere with the system by building houses, we're not working the ecosystem then, where you have house, man, human, animal, plants living in harmony. We upset the harmony.
And in Trinidad, I mean, we might be a small country, but if you look now, they say there's a shift in the weather pattern where a lot of rainfall happening on the western side of Trinidad versus the eastern side of Trinidad, where most of the dams concentrated, northeastern side and so on, right? I wonder if it has to do with deforestation, and if it has to do with the ecosystem that causing that coverage of rain more on one side of the island. I mean, we're so small. You telling me rain only choosing one side of the island to fall?
Well, Larry, it might be cheaper for we to pump the water from the flooding area to the dam than desalinate water, you know.
True.
You understand my point? So whatever they say, I find we have a UE in Trinidad, and I have one of my big thing. We have a university, and I can't remember when last they come up with some innovative idea, something new, like how other universities in North America or in England will come up with some new bright ideas to solve problems. Because if you're sending children to school and they're not solving our say land problem, water problem, flooding problem. We send them to school for if they're not solving problems.
We're not scientists to how to put it, to create ideas. We're saying to just come and work for people.
This is the whole point. And to do what? To what? To make money for what? At the end of the day, you have the money. Look, for instance, people have nice canning, but they can't enjoy it. Look, I remember I could see I tell you and going up in the east-west corridor, you see good agriculture, the Mohammedville and so on. I almost certain all that the Europe was agricultural land.
Well, Arangwes
Yeah.
estate. I born and grew up in El Socorro, and from a little fella, I know the Arangwes estate as they used to call it the food basket of the nation.
Right.
Because they had a lot of very nutritional soil that I think it's unique in the country, that area there, for plantation and agriculture work. But in the early days, farmers never really reaped the rewards of their produce. So farmers were always poor people. In the early days, they worked very, very hard, and their wealth didn't match the efforts they put into the work, right? And what happened over the years, as a little fella grandpa, I saw it happening. There's this place called the Garden Road in Arangwes. There's a reason why they call it Garden Road. It runs parallel to the Sama River. There was a lot of agricultural lands and farming in the back there. But people started to get more money. They get more money for the land there than they would have made in planting for the rest of their life. So it was easier to sell the land and get property and get economic wealth and enjoy the rewards from the sale of the land, because it was not enjoying the production or the fruits from the land.
We suffer from the curse of oil. Prior to the oil boom in the 70s, we now issue with agriculture, people going along the merry way, and doing well. When oil boom come, and there's this famous state, when about Tobago and so throw away cutlass and who and so on, and people started working for more money in 10 days and working on an estate. So then people started leaving the estates and so on. So we suffering from that curse of oil. It's a curse. We see that most of the countries that that found oil, Nigeria, you check them, they're not doing well at all. There might be others in the Middle East I think they're doing well, and that might be for many other reasons, where they agree to trade but only using the US dollar. That was an agreement, so then the US dollar become the international currency of exchange. But that's the curse of oil.
And it goes back now to the Save the Soil movement.
Yeah.
Because of the curse of oil, people sold very arable or fruitful land that could have produced food. Because the point I'm making about Save the Soil movement, Ken, is that if we don't do something as a global entity, as one global force, you're looking at in 40 years' time, people will start starving and they wouldn't have food to feed people. You're going to end up with after genetically modified food. You're going to end up with no natural foods,
Yeah.
And genetically modified foods, you're altering the genetics of the food. You don't know what is the scientific repercussions of that.
Of course, yeah.
You don't know what people are started born like octopus with multiple hands and legs. I remember Mr. Sherman, the late Mr. Sherman, very, very bright man, got blind, Ivan Sherman. And he always talked about chemicals in food. He said, one day to come, you'll see. He said, these chemicals will alter the genetics of the food. And you're going to have people eating things that is not food.
Well,
rumors now.
We've seen it in children. We have an obese children. I was surprised to know we have, the amount of people diabetic in Trinidad. You've seen all kind of unusual illnesses creeping up. Look, when I went for my screening for prostate the other day, the doctor said Trinidad per capita is for cancer, one of the highest in the world. It's something going on. And prior to oil boom and so on, we didn't have all these kind of things because most of the time people eating fresh food, fresh fruits, and they were active, always moving. Now people just sitting and with a tablet and little children with punch and thing. Little children, I remember when I was small, people was like your mother and feeding you because you're like your belly touching your backbone.
Yeah, say,
But that wasn't so.
yeah, maga.
Yeah, maras me and all kind of thing. How you looking
Marazmi, yeah,
so?
maga.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's to see me now in this video, I'm looking big. Maybe see when I was small.
Yeah.
You could have washed clothes on my chest.
Without telling you, they could have count the
show.
ribs.
You could have count how many ribs you have.
Yeah, but whole day plane.
And your energy level is high.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when you were small, you're vexed when you had to go to sleep. You do, you're vexed when night come.
Well, there's a quality eat and thing, boy, like you're hungry and thing, boy, you can
When you're
boy.
playing, you're studying food. You know, but the land right through was agriculture. It had housing, it had a little bit of everything in the village. You know, like by the roadside, that would have been houses. To the back of the house now, everybody had garden.
Yeah, and
So
that
you had
little
to kind
common
of
fowl and thing, giving
right.
manual. And see, I trying to tell my wife that, can I need to mind some fowl in the yard?
Yeah, they had an ecosystem.
Yeah,
but we
back
trying
in
to
that town,
ram
boy.
once at a house and crowd up people.
Yeah, but you see, the government gave me a option to purchase a house where I live, and I took the option, and they gave me a lot of land space. So I
Yeah.
want to utilize land space to mine some animals, but
Right.
the rules are you can't mine animals, only one dog or one cat or something, but you can mine multiple because it is a residential area. So even the planning, and this is what I think, this is the concept behind the Isha Foundation Save the Soil movement, is to get, because no matter all what we do, we can't really affect that change, You need the states, the governments of the different nations to come together and make this a national or international discussion.
Like when I was small, I can remember nothing but garbage truck, Every single thing we use decomposed there. And what didn't decompose? The recycling bottle.
Because
But I tell you,
Ken,
there
there was never tin and processed foods. You think back, you remember seeing tin peas and what else?
No. The most tin pea was probably sardine, Brunswick sardine, I feel.
That's the only processed thing probably used to come in your house.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I talking about, and we used to take that same thing and turn it into a toy, so not that it's going anywhere to waste,
Boy, that same thing, the way they used to clean the cover out. It used a little dish, there is coins, there is pin and needle, and they recycle it. You're right, in the same rust.
No, that telling you. So we
in
live
Santa Cruz.
So even Lar, recycling was a business. Them fellas who used to collect bottle and they send children to school, they build house and all of that. The whole ecosystem was designed to protect the planet. We went into plastics and all kind of thing, and we in a mess.
In Santa Cruz, I was going to tell you about Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
The dustbins in Santa Cruz was the old long time biscuit tins.
Right.
Is it called a petrol tin? It was a thick tin. And they cut it and they bend the edges and knock it and seal it like. And that was the dustbins up to when I went to work in 2007, 6, 7 around there.
But they used to take the biscuit pan and cut it in an angle, you know how you make scoop?
Yeah, scoop.
And then nail a piece of wood on it.
Yeah.
Everything was recycled or was put to use then.
No, but again, the whole in the world, that's what they say, the states, the governments of the day in the different countries and nations. You see, when you talk about I think it's the Paris Agreement about
global
environment
warming
and global warming. It is the same way they need to come together and take a decision on how to replenish the soil.
Remember, we had this Greta Thunberg young lady who was campaigning for the environment and global warming and so on. The German young lady.
Yeah.
You know, we have so many young people who impacted on the world, And in others, tell people get up, find, identify a cause, find something, support something, do something. You know, like how you and I, or you know, we the heavy blindness issues. Then
Yeah.
other people find your cause. You don't want to follow my cause, get yours.
And as you talk about that with young people, you know, we might see what can we do as a society, as a nation, as a community, as individuals in this country towards the whole consciousness about the soil and the importance of the soil of generated. You know, people will say, me, I just have a small piece of yard. Well, what my contribution to that will do? It reminds me of the story with Richard Branson, the book with bulbs. You know, when they check how much money they were saving with bulbs, just simple bulbs in each of the stores. I think it was one of those big retail stores.
Yeah,
Was it
not
Walmart?
price, Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah, with chandeliers and so on. And they do the simple maths and they realize how much money, millions of dollars are saving just by a simple bulb, turning off a bulb.
Then so somebody complained by doing that now, the shelves will be empty where the bulbs used to be, you know, that kind of bulb now.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden the shelf will full up with something else.
So the point I was bringing is you might say you have a little piece of land, you only have a 10 feet by 20 feet space. What you can do to contribute? Plant a tree, plant your food, get something to eat, you know?
But large during the war days, Churchill take this simple England and encourage, immobilize the citizens then. And they plant, everybody planted, and England was able to feed themselves during the war, and they were self-sufficient.
And you know, during the last 2 years in COVID in this country, a lot of people started to plant.
Yeah.
A lot of people went back because they were home, they were doing nothing. They started to find creative ways to plant and they were planting.
But Larry, and just the other day, we had plenty of rain in Trinidad. And how many people were posting up on, they're doing who doing Polari, who doing this. They're finding things at home to do.
Last
While
week.
the weather locked them in.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah. And
But
it seemed like in cold countries during the winter for that 3 months or even 6 months, they find things when they lock in. They read books, they study, they do so many things.
what I'm saying is, what we can do is do our part. And people need to understand this is not a Sadhguru or this is not an India thing or Africa thing or a European thing or a North America thing. It's a everybody thing. And we all need to do our part to contribute to the system, the global system to rejuvenate the soil, because soil is everything. Everything comes from the soil. Basically, it starts there. Planet Earth.
We have the desert been expanding because of the same thing. Deserts getting bigger and bigger.
In the same book I read, Ken, I think is it Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates?
Yeah, how big the desert is, Sahara Desert, how much countries it passing through.
Right. They went and they inject salt in the cloud. And create a bigger cloud. So to generate rain.
Yeah.
To fall so that they don't have a water problem in their country. So imagine they're doing that so that they could get water in the desert, and probably to mine animals, and the animal species go help build back the desert soil together with the other biodegradables that have the water and so on will help. But they find creative ways to do it. My thing is we need to find creative ways. If you could just simply do an article in papers, write our ministries, write our prime minister, you know, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of, and tell them we need to make soil a point of conversation. We need to make soil, rejuvenating the earth and the nutrients in the soil system, natural nutrients, a point of conversation, because if we don't do it, we will starve. And it might be you and I not can, because in 40 years' time, I don't think I will still be here. In fact, I hope to God I'm not still here in 40 years' time. So my children will be here.
Look, right now you're breathing air and thing. That's not important to you, you know, because it's natural. But let somebody take something and cover your nose and hold it down tight. And you go beat up and beat up. And when you hear that person let you go, the first breath you take, that is the most important thing to you in the world. Yeah. And the same thing going to happen with soil. If you don't And if you don't take care of it, you're going to reach a stage when you stick things in the ground and nothing will grow.
And people had this concept about technology to solve it. Technology not going to solve anything, you know. It will technology will help absolve a problem now, but create another one. That's what's going to happen.
But
Another one will come out of it.
technology is giving us the data to tell us what is happening, what's wrong, you know. So don't put technology in the wrong. You may forget data collection through technology, because now we can scan the earth every time the earth make a rotation. We are satellite out there taking photograph, analyzing. There's so many things to analyzing at the same time. So the technology is telling us how many land we're losing, how much forest we're losing. That technology, so use the technology for something positive, because we have the data is there. So we don't have to prove nothing. We have to get up and act now, make a decision, do something about it.
I hear you. But I hope the people hearing us, because
well, we just have to do our part, and that is something, you know. I want to raise your Lara. We have probably over 1,000 clients in blind welfare, and we had to find ways to get our group to start contributing to national nation building.
Conversations, yeah.
You know, and we start with a simple thing. If you have 1,000 and a certain portion plant tomatoes or something plant okras, we could create our own exchange, our own help, and you know, we could find ways to do our own thing by encouraging them to do something. While yes, we encourage children to go to school and so on, but they are the middle age and the older folks. We need to get them involved in doing something to contribute to Trinidad and Tobago.
I agree.
And you know, inspire them to do something.
What I'm saying is, we need to do it, but how do you do it? How do you get them interested in it?
Now let me get an example. Follow the thing. Every year we used to make dias, right? Plenty dias. Do you know we scrape soil all in Carsonfield, and there are some places think we need to grow in Carsonfield? While we do something to celebrate Diwali and all kind of thing, but we didn't see how much of the environment we damage. You understand? And good soil we lose, and so there are some places in Carsonfield and maybe other places nothing will grow. Trees don't grow. You might have a little bush in it, but you plant a tree, it wouldn't grow. You had to go now and dig a hole. You had to treat the soil, and so many things just for the thing to grow now, because we abuse the soil. Because yes, we want to sell millions of dias or thousands of dias every year, but we didn't see. While we say, you know, lighten dia, which is good, you're celebrating, but you on the other hand, you're destroying the planet, or you're destroying, because Trinidad is a small place, and 1.3 million people trying to fit on it, or 1.5 you're 20 foreigners and everybody, you know.
Yeah, and you have the issue. We talk about dias. Something like clay blocks and things. You know, there's this place in Central called Robinson, and there was a time in Central, a whole big portion of the land just dropping to the earth.
Yeah,
a big sinkhole, like, because we mine the clay, we mine the red sand, and we mine it out so much to make brick and to make, what you call it, dias and clay pottery and plaster house and that we wasn't controlling what we were taking out. And I mean, they like a big corner here now.
but we need to be economic. There's something called supply and demand. And if your demand for something is greater than you can supply, what will happen to it? It will have no more. And then when you have no more, all kind of things have to happen, because it's had to interfere with the balance.
Yeah.
You're gonna have land caving, flooding, all kind of things, because everything is a supply and demand, and you have to keep that scale. You have to keep that scale balance. Or once it go out of whack, it will work itself back and come back to equilibrium. It might take long, but it will come back to.
So we had Mr. Joey Gupta.
Mr. Gupta.
Yeah, watching us, and thank you very much. So if you want to share the live, go ahead and share the live, people. Remember, the conversation is save the soil. trying to use my phone here at the same time, can't get any comments or feedbacks.
Oh. Right.
So that's what I was doing there. You say good night, great topic.
Yeah, yeah. But we just only want to be a great topic. We want people to participate. Make sure
Exactly.
understand what this thing called topsoil is. And if you erode all the topsoil, we talk about you're shaving the earth for to make all your red blocks and your deer. After a while, whatever you might call dirt there, they're not soil, it's not even grow on that. Because to get topsoil, I don't know how long it takes to get topsoil. Topsoil will come gesso. There's a process to generate topsoil.
You're sure right. And we talking about clays right now as the topic here, but there is so much other issues that affects the ecosystem. Simple thing as
flooding does wash out topsoil or not?
and I know what tell you that something like flooding.
Yeah.
We saying something like flooding because you know why? The amount of rain that's fallen in this country. I find it so strange. We have a water problem, and you still telling me I mustn't use my garden hose to water the plants that giving me food or subsidizing my food bill because it's Wassa water, and Wassa don't know how to capture the rainwater to treat it so I could use it back.
We getting punished for Wassa inefficiency.
That is the point.
And people not prepared to deal with Wassa. All of them, they came for Caroni, they mash up Tiantec, I mean, Petrotrin, they're attacking TSCT, Wassa, all you put all your house in order, you cannot continue being inefficient. You cannot be dependent on the public purse.
I think there's big argument going on right now. You pave a road, the damage your pipeline, Wassa come and fix it back, the road get back worse. It's like a vicious cycle. But that's a different discussion for a different day. We're talking about the ecosystem and how it affects us in the country. And one thing we talk, I was mentioning about something like rain. You have so much rainfall. I remember a day, Ken, I was in the sea. I went to fish in the sea in Port of Spain, outside Port of Spain there. And rain started to fall. And with my limited sight, I saw this brown, big mass of brown mist coming. So Farid was with us. And Farid said, you see that kind of light color thing coming there? I say, yeah. He said, that is all that is mud coming from the hills and coming through the river. You see, just now that coming reaching all the way here. You know, within about 5 minutes, Ken, all that dirty brown water reach us where we were fishing. We had to take a bank and pick up line and move.
But you see how much topsoil we lose, eh?
I'm a point.
Yeah.
And why we lose it? Because another simple thing we did and took for granted, and I mentioned earlier on, we were cutting the hillsides and burning it.
And building house all over the place now.
And we digging it out and building house. And we're doing proper infrastructure, proper land management. Mr. Chairman told me in the mid 2000s, I think, he said, in developed nations, when they plan certain states, like in America and so on, for agriculture. And certain states was for housing and domestic use. And when they run out of space for housing, they started to go towards the sky.
Right.
They didn't go and take the states they had that was put for agriculture to build houses. They didn't do that.
Everybody in Trinidad want their own little house. And everybody want their own little thing.
And he made a point. He say you have high-rise towers, and you have more people concentrated in a small city. In one state than another state, because the other state was meant for farming and food production.
We get our land management.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
You know, people have land, like you and I, for example. I'm not ashamed to say there's certain parts of this property I don't walk for weeks.
Yeah, tell you, yeah.
I don't even go there. Weeks has passed and I don't go there. The only time I go in there is if man can't cut the grass, I go and rake the grass there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't go there in certain parts of this property. And people want land space, but they're not willing to utilize the land space.
It's a limited resource.
it is required to rejuvenate the soil, to plant trees, to give you fruits and vegetables. I see people in my community here. Well, I like NRL amazing place. One neighbor of mine's plant almost every single thing you think about he can plant, he planted.
Yeah.
And he boasts and he tell me, he said, Larry, I can't remember the last time I went in the market,
Is that still there? Yeah,
He have hoodie, he have baigan, he have tomatoes, he have
Yeah.
same, he plant Karali. One day I see he had passion fruit. He plant pepper, pak choy, lettuce, cauliflower.
And a little piece of land.
A little bit of everything the man plant. He have all his seasoning, you don't buy seasoning, shadow benny, celery, chive. He tell me all you got to buy is like aloo, onion, garlic,
Yeah.
rice,
The basic.
peas, basic. All the Korean thing he cooking, he get from him, and it's the same amount of land he have, I have.
Yeah.
I get rid of that. And our next one, neighbor, have nothing on their spot of land. Not even a tree for fruit. Just in case people wonder, I have a mango tree and I have an orange tree. I have a two lime tree. I have a put in this claim and I can have a West Indian cherry tree, I have a tree planting tree, some big tree. So I have my own portion, I think, too.
Right.
And I plant some okra tree 2 or 3 days ago. I plant a dragon fruit. I put down some pimentos. So I do my little part, But what I'm saying is, we all want our own land space. We all want our own piece of land. We want our own house. But we're not willing to utilize it.
Well, anything we want, and when we get it, realize we wanted it.
Well, there's always happened that way.
Yeah. Somebody said the grass will look green on the other side. And when you get on the other side, I thought the grass was green.
Yeah. So true.
And the soil link, we're talking about the whole environment, because once we start taking care of the soil, it will impact on the environment. We might combat global warming, acid rain, so many things about in the ocean. We need to get involved in the ocean to see we overfishing. The amount of time, every time I know anybody going in the Gulf to fish, they say the Gulf are no fish, but it's still going overfishing. So everything, once we start working from the soil, it's going to impact on everything else, because we're going to kind of roll back global warming. Because if you start to plant more and more trees, then it will assist in reducing global warming.
Can long time we kill an animal, or when we fish, we do the fish based on what their needs for the time. Nowadays, when you killing animals or you fishing, you're killing and fishing to store in your refrigerator and deep freeze.
Yeah, unlike I also like a lion. When a lion kill a beast and eat it, and that lion belly full, 10 beasts get past in front of you, don't matter that,
He only eat when he hungry. He only kill when he hungry.
Yeah, and when you finish, you relaxing, you ain't worry about nobody. Not we. We want to have hard, put it in the fridge. To say we have
again, it's technology and is oil wealth. Refrigerate and deep freeze. You want to buy 6 chicken and put in your fridge one time. You couldn't cook half a chicken at a time, But you want 6 because
when you're hoard, your cost prices became making it scarce.
And by the time you reach the last the 6 chicken, you realize this thing isn't funny, but you get freezer bird, throw it out, you go buy more.
Yeah.
Get the dog it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and dogs. I know people feeding cooking food for dog and things. A long time was scraps dog used to get,
The dog used to get what remain. You take a dog so you not throw your food.
That's the point.
Yeah.
You feed the dog the remaining food.
You take a little bit of everything and you mix it and give that to it.
You give him he get food for the night, and he get food once a day. I have a little dog in the Rocky getting food in the morning and evening. And if I feed him, I might get none. So my wife makes sure I say feed him.
But that I see them, they say all kind of thing, my dog must, but I know dog does usually eat once. With dog, I see dog eating 3 and 4 times.
Yeah, so I don't know. I find it strange. The kind of thing I see we doing now is wealth, Ken. A false sense of wealth,
Yeah, wealth is I tell people wealth is a dangerous thing, yes.
I just wish people will wake up the same way we're talking about carbon emissions, and we talk about air pollution, we're talking about global warming. We need to understand if we deal with the soil and the earth, and we replenish the earth, and we create more trees, and we create more fruits and more animals to providing the nutrients of the soil, that whole thing of carbon emissions and global warming will naturally reduce.
Larry, years ago, there was an employee in Blind River. Her granddaughter came to Trinidad. She lived in Canada then, and she probably said more 8 years. And she was talking how you sort garbage and so on. My thing about in Trinidad, what are we teaching children in school? You're teaching them things that they might even use throughout their life. Why we can't teach global warming and then what we teaching them to save the planet, but then use it to apply mathematics in it. Whatever we could do the same thing that they teach them in school, but show them what they learn and how they could apply it. And
Start with Ken, they can't teach something to do practice.
This is the whole
If
point.
they put 5 dustbin in the school and say each one a different color for a different item to put in it, and you start practicing that, any child, you may have to teach it by natural. But
now they will learn to group things. They will learn to group things.
They will learn the concept of proper recycling methodologies. But we don't
right. But also you'll learn the mathematics and anything. You'll learn how to how to organize things then. So you know what going where. And that's why you hear young people complain about young people when you go inside a room, it's like if a bomb pass.
No, some people just don't have the concept of organization in a pattern.
And sorting and putting this there and putting that there.
And making things look neat.
Yeah.
I remember one time I walked in our office.
He could go in the dark in his tool shed, in his tool room, and find anything,
Get organized, put away.
Yeah. He said you even without no light, He go and drop his hand and he find any part he want.
I remember at night, we had some beverages and I come home my head bad and they tell me the pipe break out, the foot tap break out in the bathroom. Well, in my state of condition I was in, I can't remember putting on the light. I can't remember opening my eye. I find all the tools, the fittings, glue, everything come back upstairs. Up to now, I don't even feel I open my eye. So watch nothing. And I cut, I join, I glue, I stick and put back and I say, right, it's working,
And you crawl out.
And I crawl back out. But what I'm saying is, because it was organized and know where it is.
And that is the same thing. We take a dump and we throw everything in the dump just so. So now people going in the dump now and sorting things. Anybody got sorted before you dump?
That's I see, and again, not enough is being done towards it, but I saw some place in DB here, Pinal DB, they have different bins for different recyclables. So you have glass bottle going one, but you have that, but it's so insignificant. You might say every little count, and I agree, every little will count. But if to do a real impact, and this is what the soil movement is talking about, to do a real impact, you need to get the world leaders involved. Yeah. How come in this day and age, Ken, I was watching a thing, this lady in some island, these 1-minute videos on YouTube?
Yeah, with the glass? With all the glass bottle, yeah.
And she making blocks.
And make blocks now.
To build house.
Yeah.
The blocks quite as strong as the clay blocks.
We can make plastic houses, make plastic board.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, how come we have so much cars in this country? We have no way to put the tires. How come nobody never came up with a methodology to recycle those tires?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure all over parts of the world people do it. Why? How come that is never seen as some kind of great investment?
Because you see the economics, it doesn't have the economics in it. Okay, I'll show you. Solar power is economical to Barbados, right?
Right.
It is not economical for Trinidad because our energy cost is so cheap. So if you had to go solar, the capital investment is so much. But in Barbados now, it works for them because they need it. They're on an island. It had no resources, nothing at all. And that'll live.
Yeah.
You understand? So economics just helps solve a lot of problems, but if we giving them subsidized energy, what people do? They go abuse it. They're interested in no solar and good sunlight going to waste.
We saw that. We saw the abuse of our energy through the sale of diesel on the high seas, and
They know strictly subsidized, and people drive for no long time. When you hear leaving, say if you're going say leaving Para and you're going Sando to do business, you sit down and you're planning all what you want to do because you ain't going back Sando for the next month, you know.
and everything done one time.
Yeah, but nowadays you go down Sando and you forget something next day going back. You're abusing resources.
True.
There are some people in the world cannot even leave the village one time. Some people live in villages and never left the village, you know. In some places, you know. Never, you know. Live and die in that village and never leave it, you know.
But what you gonna do? It's Minister 8, Ken. I hope we make our point clear, you know, as to what we want to do, what we like to see happen. I mean, I am declaring, I'm telling you, I support this soil movement. I think it is a great cause. I do know this is 5.2 billion people in the world has the power to vote in their government, and they hope that at least they get 3 billion people talking about soil, they could use that 3 billion persons to help make the difference through their leadership in their states, their country leadership, and making the right decision about the soil movement. And you know, the strange thing is that you have wealthy, popular people understanding the significance of this movement and is coming on board, supporting it, and helping raise the consciousness of the importance of soil.
You're not hearing our politicians changing the narrative. I listen politicians 86, and if I listen now, it's sounding like we're still in 1986 talking, you know. The conversation didn't change, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's the same, you know.
It is. It is.
If we didn't have a calendar, I would think I still listening 1986 politics.
But Ken, I didn't listen to it so long, but I know if I listen to the same, there's this song this fella saying the cost of progress too high.
Yeah.
And I shot our song somewhere in the 80s.
Yeah, that was 1983 was in the final for the March thing, 1983.
Yeah. I sure. And you listen to that song now, it's still relevant.
It's relevant. Sparrow sang a song too. Capitalism gone mad.
Yeah.
You know, we like it so, even though we like it so, Lara telling you, if we are the people, we have to stand up and tell the politician that is not the conversation. I don't know MC the MC. We have identified 5 problems we have. Like we say, soil movement is one. What if you win election? What you going to do about it? I don't want to hear about MC and MC. I want to know what you going to do about it. How are we going to solve flooding? And every year we hear in the same conversation, flooding. But nobody coming up. What is the? I ain't say flooding go done one time, you know. What I'm saying, if today 10 villages flood, next year we must have 9 or 7 or 6.
I agree. You must see progress.
But every year we get in more and more places flooding. Large places that never flood in that you know of.
No, it's true. It's so true.
So, and I'm telling people, you might say, down the road flooding, by me don't flood, you know. Mark my word, it ain't far from by you. Mark my word. I see if your neighbor flooding, fix the flooding. So my takeaway, in persons with disabilities, you could make a contribution. Don't sit down there and wait. Yes, you might, grants and all of that, but do something. You could contribute, and in many ways you could contribute. You could raise your voice, read your program, write a letter, pick up your cell phone, send a WhatsApp, post something on Facebook. Do something. There are so many things you could do. You might find is you alone and you're disabled, and we go do your part. You know, it always remind me of the bird that was crying out some water in the beak to out a forest fire. And somebody say, but that out no fire, the little bird say, I do my part.
Exactly. And the end of this discussion is to say we all have our parts to do. And
Do
we
your
need
part.
to make our own contribution in our own way. No matter how small it may be or how big it may be, do your part. Raise the level of consciousness about
Yeah.
saving the soil, saving
Soil.
planet Earth, and
Yes.
helping the next 2 or 3 generations. And as they said, if you do a vigorous plan of action to save the soil, to replenish the soil, rejuvenate the soil, you're looking at within 15, 20 years, you could have that done. But if you don't do it by the next 40 years, people start starving. The same song you talk about the status program, Ken. We are the world to stop farming
Yeah.
in different parts of the world. We will have to sing another song like that because it
Yeah.
will continue again.
Mhm.
So until next
Good night,
weekend,
everybody. Yeah.
thanks again. Good night. All the best. Keep safe.
OQF meeting, leave meeting. Cancel button. Leave meeting button.